I, a plagiarist, have crossed over. I had worked hard for 9 years and finally achieved great success. Look quickly. He suddenly caught fire. But at that moment, I suddenly realized. He stared blankly at the person flying, emitting powerful spiritual energy, and then he, along with several others, wore the same shocked expression. What is that? How can there be cultivators in this world? The system appeared to respond, there might be something wrong with the information in the worldview I entered, but it's okay, we can start over from the beginning. Keep going. He collapsed, in pain, crying out in frustration, do you have any idea how I've lived these past 9 years? Boo-hoo, don't play me like this. I don't want to read books, if I could cultivate immortals, who would want to read books anymore, boo-hoo-hoo. After shouting for a while, he suddenly remembered. Wait a minute, crossover cultivating immortals. Isn't this the opening of a classic 3-cent novel? This means my talent must be terrifyingly strong. He hurried to the Spiritual Trial Grand Assembly to verify, only to find out that he had no spiritual roots. He collapsed again. Wiping away his tears, he cursed, damn it, I want to go back to Earth. This crossover is nothing like what it says in the book. He crawled into a corner with no regrets left, holding his heart and crying. I even thought of myself as the main character. At that moment, someone approached and, seeing him in such a miserable state, asked, little friend, do you want to cultivate immortality? He paused and looked at the person. From the Qingyun sect, Master Tai Hua, with a serious expression, called out, Chang Yu, I have a mission I want to assign to you. A second later, he rushed over, grabbing the other person's shoulders and crying out, disciple, you must help your master, this matter is very important. Grand Senior Brother Su Chang Yu raised his cup of tea and replied calmly, what important matter could there possibly be for a small sect like ours that holds no status? Master Tai Hua squeezed his face, pulling it tight as he lamented, not long ago, a new policy was introduced for lowly sects like ours, stating that unless we gather 8 stable disciples and promote the sect to the 3rd rank within a year, we will face dire consequences. Su Chang Yu nonchalantly sipped his tea. Then just find one more person and it will be fine. Hearing this, Tai Hua the Taoist became even more desperate, saying, is it really that easy? Just yesterday, I rushed to the Spiritual Trial Grand Assembly and the sects were crazily snatching disciples, the prices of goods skyrocketed to terrifying levels. Don't go, stay, and talk for a while. The group of disciples left in unison, criticizing, 3 taels of silver for a month's salary, and yet they still want to recruit disciples, are they planning to pay like beggars? Some sects were even extremely shameless, using beauty traps. The girl, both seductive and enticing, draped her arm over the guy and said, little junior brother, let's dual cultivate with senior sister again. Fortunately, in the end, I still found one person, even though he is a complete newbie without any spiritual roots, Yi Ping. He was tearful, crying, Immortal Master, are you really willing to accept me? But his temperament is very good, and more importantly, he is willing to not take any salary. Yi Ping clasped his hands and proudly said, wealth is an external thing, as long as you teach me to cultivate immortals, I will agree to anything. One cannot always expect the sect to provide benefits, one must think more about what they can contribute to the sect. Tai Hua, the Taoist, raised his finger to give a warning. Chang Yu, you speak so foolishly, oh no, my good disciple, where could you find someone like that? But I worry that once this person realizes how weak our sect is and learns nothing from us, they will likely run away. However, Master has come up with a brilliant plan. He solemnly emphasized each sentence, to put it simply, we will pretend to be experts. You will lead your senior brothers and sisters, and in each of your fields, you will write down a type of skill that is fundamentally impossible to grasp and teach it to him, buying us time. After a year, when the sect stabilizes, he will be allowed to choose whether to stay or leave. Su Chang Yu blew a puff, casually waving his finger, and yet you take it so seriously as if it were a big deal, isn't this just nonsense? He stood up and leisurely asked, Master, do you know what nickname the junior brothers and sisters have given me? Tai Hua, the Taoist, looked confused, what is it? Su Chang Yu tilted his head and replied, the incompetent disciple. He projected a powerful aura and said, without form. Su Chang Yu stroked his chin, boasting. Discussing appearances, if anyone stands second in Tan province, I doubt anyone would dare to stand first. He rubbed his forehead, his self-importance resembling that of a rabid dog, and said, "If someone is looking for you, then they've found the right person, absolutely professional, huh?" Tai Hua the Taoist darkened his face as he looked at his disciple. Is this really something to be proud of? He raised a finger to set a condition, no matter what, Changyu, you just need to successfully keep him for a year without withdrawing. Su Changyu raised his hand in front and exclaimed, no way. Tai Hua the Taoist was taken aback, gasping. Su Changyu also exhaled, confidently showcasing his personality, if I've already made a move, then the goal of delaying for a year is too trivial. For a fresh one like this, just a little push. Halfway through, he leaned forward, puffed out his cheeks, and said, it's about instilling in his mind from now on, just wishing Qin Yun wouldn't wish for anything else, and in the next life, still be a person of Qin Yun. After he finished speaking, he laughed heartily. Tai Hua the Taoist had to play along and clapped his hands enthusiastically. Not bad, the reputation of the Green Mountain indeed lives up to its name. Is this just the beginning? Su Changyu held a sword and struck his chest, saying, I say this here, if I do not complete the mission, then I shall swallow this sword whole, and add a little soy sauce to eat with it. He slightly bowed, wanting to take his leave. If there is nothing else, then I shall take my leave, master. Wait for him at the back mountain tonight, the Tai Hua Taoist replied as he stood up. All right, I will send my imperial sword with you to return. Su Changyu turned around casually and said, no need for that. He glanced back and began to recite poetry. A scholar who has been away for 3 days sees with different eyes. You are no longer the kind of little disciple who needs the master to send you off. He raised his hand, carrying an invisible pressure. The Tai Hua Taoist was stunned and said, what does this gesture mean? Su Changyu, with a calm voice, replied, this prosperous scene is as you wish. He raised a finger, releasing a dazzling light that shocked the Tai Hua Taoist. This is truly the sword-riding technique. This is impossible. He is clearly just a talentless sword Dao practitioner who hasn't even mastered a complete swordsmanship in 10 years. The light gradually faded, and the atmosphere fell into a deep silence. Tai Hua the Taoist also started to frown in suspicion. Could it be that it's the child? Su Changyu did not hide it either. He clasped his hands together and laughed heartily. I wasn't careful and couldn't help but show off a bit. Where would I find the sword-riding technique? It's still up to you, master, to give me a little guidance. Tai Hua the Taoist rubbed his temples, feeling utterly helpless. You really are a fool. I hope the junior brother doesn't go crazy because of you. At midnight, on the peak of Back Mountain, with a clear moon and gentle breeze, Su Changyu had been waiting here since early on, carefully storing away the rewards for the 500 sword-testing lives of Qin province. He had been shivering from the cold for an unknown length of time, intentionally choosing this spot to create an atmosphere. He turned, panting, thinking to himself, all right, they've arrived. He steadied his sword and solemnly said, get ready, prepare well now. Yi Ping finally climbed to Back Mountain, leaning against the rock wall, thinking, the mountain is really high, immortals are indeed extraordinary. He looked ahead and was momentarily stunned, seeing a very imposing figure. Su Changyu happened to turn his head to look at Yi Ping, noticing that overwhelming aura. With the sword emitting spiritual energy like a lightning bolt, Yi Ping's face darkened as he thought, is it the sword immortal? A moment later, he paused and thought again, wait, something feels off. If they are willing to accept a useless person like me who has no spiritual roots, isn't this a really terrible sect? But why is there a disciple with such outstanding qualities? Yi Ping suddenly realized, could it be? On the surface, this sect looks like a small, lowly sect, but in reality, it might be a super hidden sect of some sort. He clenched his fists in excitement and hope. Everyone in the sect is a great elder. Could anyone help me soar high? It seems like that is indeed possible. He rubbed his chin and squinted, recalling, for example, today when I first entered the sect with my master, the outside of the hall felt desolate. At that time, I didn't know, but thinking back, it seems a bit excessive. After all, it is a sect cultivating immortals. How could it be so shabby? Moreover, even though it was very dilapidated, every corner was extremely clean, which is quite unusual. Everywhere was peculiar. But if we say that it is out of a desire to be humble and hidden, then everything can be explained. But if we say... The light shone brightly as Su Changyu looked at him, 3 million sword immortals in the heavens would have to bow their heads upon meeting me, and there's also a senior brother with such exceptional charisma like this. Hearing this, Su Changyu turned his head with interest to look at him. 3 million sword immortals in the heavens would have to bow their heads upon meeting me. This little guy is interesting, he thought to himself. Such exaggeration is quite cool, it will be mine in the future. I didn't expect him to come up with such an extravagant poem right after we met. Su Changyu raised his hand and unleashed a powerful spiritual energy, saying, if the junior brother is praising me like this, it seems I cannot neglect the courtesy. The senior brother has no equipment, so I will grant you these magical powers opportunities. Su Changyu condensed his might and released it forward, creating a strong effect that left Yiping dazed as if mesmerized. Su Changyu solemnly introduced himself, I am the grand senior brother of Qin Yun, and this ethereal wind is actually a type of magical technique that can help you enhance your innate talent for cultivation. Yiping admired him greatly and thought. Can a single Tanfeng sect really enhance one's innate cultivation talent? How could an ordinary sect achieve that? He bowed his head and clasped his hands, thank you for your great kindness, senior brother. Yiping doesn't know how to repay you. Su Changyu tightened his hands behind his back, forcing himself to say, it's just a small matter. He thought, I used a bit too much force earlier, so my wrist is strained now. He chuckled to himself, thinking, there is indeed a magical technique for weaving powers. It's just a breeze, how could it be so profound? Su Changyu sat down calmly and said, little junior brother, before the master imparts the sword Dao to you, I will ask you a question first. Yiping looked puzzled and asked, a question. He huffed and suddenly remembered, I've read this scenario in a book before. Before a supreme expert imparts secret techniques, they always ask a question first. That's right, just like that. Su Changyu sat up straight and asked him, what do you think is the ultimate essence of the sword? He secretly chuckled, feeling proud, only I could come up with such a boastful statement. Go ahead and answer, no matter how you respond, it will all be wrong. Only then can I show you how deeply I understand the sword Dao. Yiping stood there, pondering the phrase, the ultimate of the sword. He thought deeply, even the flavor of the question is just too accurate. He touched his chin, truly worried, hesitating and considering. Expert hermit, already at the 8th or 9th level. This kind of question seems simple but must definitely contain supreme meaning. If it were an ordinary person, they might just answer something like, 1,000 miles of shadow left in the wake of 100 steps, but it won't be that shallow. So how should I answer it? Su Changyu was sweating and exclaimed, hey, just answer however you like, no need to be so serious. But Yiping still carefully thought it over, no matter what, I must answer very carefully. After a long moment, Su Changyu felt like he was about to burst, big brother, it's been a long moment already, are you still not done? He pursed his lips, unable to hold back any longer, the wind on this mountain peak is about to freeze me to death. He called out, all right, just say your answer. Yiping's fingers touched together, hesitantly replied, senior brother, junior brother believes that the ultimate of sword Dao must be, ... A single blade of grass severs the sun, moon, and stars. Su Changyu paused. A single blade of grass. To sever the sun, moon, and stars. Damn it, I've been practicing swordsmanship for 20 years. He opened his mouth in disbelief at Yiping's response. When encountering the strongest person, even a single strike can only push mountains aside, yet a single blade of grass can sever the sun, moon, and stars. Isn't that a bit exaggerated? Seeing his incredulous attitude, Yiping quickly waved his hand and asked, senior brother, is that too much of an exaggeration? I hope senior brother won't blame me. Su Changyu put on a commendatory expression. This kid is quite good, speaking with sincerity, he is a person of the same path. This statement is not bad at all, and now it belongs to Su. Su Changyu squeezed his shoulder and leisurely said, indeed, it is a bit exaggerated, but the path of cultivating immortals requires stability. Junior brother, you have a bit of ambition now. Yiping felt disappointed and thought, as expected. He replied, junior brother understands now. Su Changyu drew his sword and suggested, how about this? He decisively unleashed a powerful sword chi, creating a blazing sword mark on the ground before turning around. Senior brother will leave you a trace of the sword. This trace may seem ordinary at first glance, but it actually contains the strongest sword intent in the world. How much you can comprehend depends on your own understanding. 7 days later, I will come to see how you are doing. At this point, Yi Ping was convinced, thinking, the sword intent is indeed powerful, it must be an expert recluse. I am so lucky to have truly stepped into a prestigious hidden sect. Su Changyu quickly ran down the mountain after completing his task. Hurry, go find the second junior brother and show off a bit. Suddenly, someone called out from the other side, Grand Senior Brother. A girl in a red dress asked excitedly, what do you think of the talent of this new disciple? She waved at Su Changyu. He replied boredly, little junior sister, you're peeking again. She jumped down and playfully said, hee, I was just curious. Su Changyu's eyes sparkled as he came up with an idea, but it just so happens, let's test its effectiveness with you. He clasped his hands behind his back and said seriously, junior sister, don't mention this first. The girl in the red dress looked at him in confusion. Su Changyu, with a serious expression, said, senior brother asked me, do you know what the ultimate strength of the sword Dao is? The girl in the red dress broke out in a cold sweat, looking at him as he suddenly changed his attitude and had to think seriously, sword Dao? What does it have to do with me? Why is he so serious all of a sudden? Su Changyu pointed up to the stars, not waiting for an answer and directly said, let me tell you, the ultimate of the sword Dao is to use a single blade of grass to sever the sun, moon, and stars. The girl in the red dress looked at him, impressed by his outstanding performance this time. Then she exclaimed, so cool. The Grand Senior Brother's showmanship is advancing again, huh? Su Changyu laughed arrogantly, ha, that's right, cool, isn't it? The girl with red hair widened her eyes and asked him, so is it time to answer my question? Su Changyu clasped his hands behind him and asked in return, your question. He turned his head in one direction and said, how long will it take little junior brother to comprehend the sword intent? Then he made a confident expression, scratching his nose to affirm, how could he comprehend it? I don't even know myself. The girl in the red dress stared blankly and said, I said it's just ordinary sword intent. Su Changyu still replied, I really don't know either. At this point, the girl in the red dress was the one who looked at him with a confused expression, are you joking with me? After 2 time periods on top of the mountain in Back Mountain, Yi Ping was still seriously looking at the sword mark. He began to ponder about life, thinking, why do I only see an ordinary tear mark, where is the strongest sword intent? Could it be deceiving me? But then he shook his head in denial. Yi Ping, what nonsense are you thinking? The previous things have proven that it must be from an expert. He slammed his hands down into the crevice again, frantically looking inside. It must be because I haven't put in enough effort. He gritted his teeth, self-hypnotizing. That's right, it must be like that. Yi Ping, keep going, keep pushing on. In that crevice, Yi Ping suddenly saw a figure. Suddenly, a shadow appeared in his mind. That shadow held a long sword and began to perform various sword moves, creating magnificent and sharp sword lines, like the sound of a bell ringing in his ears. The 4 types of swordsmanship and the 12 sword moves became increasingly clear. The 12 moves seemed engraved in Yi Ping's mind, as if he were training in swordsmanship himself. Holding the glowing sword, Yi Ping began to practice following those silhouettes. Not just once, but repeatedly, many times over, once, twice, then 3 times. Yi Ping's swordsmanship grew faster and more fluid, with more and more moves. The 12 moves turned into 15, then 20, all in the blink of an eye. When he reached the peak of awakening, it was even more terrifying than when it first flowed into his consciousness. Yi Ping knelt on the ground, lost in thought, what on earth is happening here? He opened his eyes wide, unable to help but think, it must be the Grand Senior Brother. I never expected such a gentle breeze could truly elevate my talent to such a terrifying level. This person is not just an extraordinary expert. Yi Ping was overwhelmed with happiness, after so much misfortune, I've finally turned my luck around. I shouldn't have doubted the Grand Senior Brother before. He stared intently at the sword mark, focusing. Don't be agitated, Yi Ping. Calm down, calm down. This is just the beginning. This sword Dao mark will definitely allow me to comprehend even more swordsmanship. Keep trying. 7 days later, at the Grand Senior Brother's residence. The treasure box of Su Changyu was scattered everywhere. He picked up a few items to wear, put on a robe, and looked quite impressive. He said, "Today is indeed a beautiful day." He stepped out the door and continued, "Perfect for showing off. Let's go. Little junior brother, I'm coming." Su Changyu hurried across the bridge towards the back mountain, sweating with every step. He grumbled, "I'm exhausted, if I had known, would have chosen another place." His face darkened as he paused and said, "That said, why does everyone find sword training so simple? It really makes one feel unhappy." 7 days ago, the junior sister in the red dress asked in surprise, "What? You mean you don't even know your own sword intent?" Su Changyu replied nonchalantly, "That's right." The junior sister in the red dress laughed derisively, "Senior brother, you're really pathetic. You've been practicing swordsmanship for 10 years. Why don't you even know about sword intent?" Su Changyu didn't hesitate to hit her hard. "Chicken. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense. The sword Dao isn't that easy." Su Changyu raised a finger and seriously explained, "The Four Thunders sword that senior brother cultivates is not an ordinary swordsmanship. It is one of the top 10 swordsmanships in Qing province. Years ago, Si Gui Taoist became famous throughout Qing province based on this swordsmanship. This swordsmanship is extremely rigid and yang, divided into 4 forms for spring, summer, autumn, and winter. If someone masters the 4 forms of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, they could even pull the essence of all 4 seasons together." Su Changyu added, "Moreover, each swordsmanship is divided into 4 realms: cracked beginner's mirror, furnace fire mastery, supreme perfection, and reach the pinnacle." The junior sister widened her eyes and asked, "It sounds really powerful, doesn't it? So what level is senior brother at now?" Su Changyu proudly replied, "The Spring Thunder sword has reached furnace fire mastery, with a total of 18 sword moves." The junior sister in the red dress lowered her head in disappointment. "Oh, is it just the Spring Thunder sword? And it only has 18 moves?" Su Changyu shouted angrily. "What do you mean it's only the Spring Thunder sword? There are only 4 major realms in total, and my progress is definitely the best in Qing province. I dare say I'm the best. 4 Thunders swordmanship, Winter Thunder swordmanship, Autumn Thunder swordmanship, Summer Thunder swordmanship, Spring Thunder swordmanship. Senior brother not only took 10 years to reach the Furnace Fire Mastery realm, but without needing 10 years, he will surely achieve great success. In 100 years, he will reach the pinnacle." He glared with his deep-set eyes at the junior sister in red, emphasizing each word, "By then, you'll know just how strong senior brother is." She turned her face away in slight fear and replied, "I know, grand senior brother." The junior sister in red asked him seriously, "So if junior brother can comprehend the sword intent by himself, what level of talent in sword Dao would that guy have?" Su Changyu laughed loudly at the question, "Sword intent? Little junior sister really dares to think, huh? In the sword Dao lineage, swordmanship is secondary, the most important thing is this sword intent. The more sword intent you have, any swordsmanship can be transformed into the miraculous, and any ordinary punch can be extremely terrifying. However, the 3 great red-crowned sword intents are as difficult to achieve as ascending to the heavens. Among them, the first level alone is an extraordinary sword intent. Throughout the entire 10 nations, there is only one strong individual who has reluctantly taken half a step into it, known as the Tai Su Sword Supreme. Even the 10 nations treat him with military honors." The junior sister in the red dress slightly bent over, curiously asking, "I'm just saying it's a possibility. If I were to comprehend it, what level would it be?" Su Changyu raised his finger, emphasizing each word, "Absolutely impossible. Don't even mention the little junior brother. Even if it were the number 1 genius of the past 500 years from Qing province, he still absolutely could not comprehend the extraordinary sword intent." Su Changyu had now climbed through difficulties and was delighted to say, "We've arrived. I wonder if the little junior brother is awake yet." He looked over and saw Yi Ping still kneeling, staring at the sword mark, his dark circles under his eyes extremely frightening, not blinking at all. Su Changyu was shocked, thinking, "What the hell is this? With those dark eyes, how long has he not slept? This silly name, has he really been facing the sword Dao mark all along? Who is trying to blatantly deceive?" He tilted his head and silently blamed himself. In this way, it only proves that I am not the person. What should I do? The feeling of guilt is strong. He looked at Yi Ping, only able to sigh and think, it's a pity that this little guy has to endure injustice for the sect, I must compensate him well later. Yi Ping heard footsteps and turned around to say, has the grand senior brother arrived? Su Changyu quickly posed himself and asked, how has the training been? Yi Ping smiled and replied, I've gained some insights, all thanks to the opportunities provided by senior brother. Su Changyu smiled faintly, comforting him, don't be discouraged, it's completely normal that what ordinary people cannot comprehend is not unusual at all. Suddenly, he remembered something he had just heard and gasped. Wait a moment. He suspiciously asked, what did you just say? You've gained insights, really? Yi Ping clasped his hands and bowed, saying, yes, indeed. Respectfully reporting to the grand senior brother, this morning I have comprehended a total of 400 sword moves. Su Changyu looked at him seriously for a moment, then burst into tears of laughter, 400 moves. Ha ha ha, you mock me for never having practiced swordsmanship. I merely created these sword strokes at will, what is there that I don't know? He crossed his arms, unable to stop chuckling to himself. You really are making me laugh to death. Ha ha ha. Yi Ping paused in confusion. Why is the grand senior brother laughing like that? What does it mean? Is it because I achieved sudden enlightenment too little? 400 moves in a day, isn't that still too few? In an instant, he turned into someone speculating about that mocking smile. Ah, I understand now. The grand senior brother is an expert, mastering this swordsmanship surely doesn't take long. He has personally guided me with knowledge and even provided me with great opportunities before. But as long as one has a bit of talent, it's certain that one could comprehend over 1,000 moves in a day. He sadly murmured, I really am too incompetent. Su Changyu then spoke kindly, there's no need to lie. This swordsmanship is profound, not grasping it is completely normal. I would never look down on you for that. Yi Ping honestly retorted, I'm not lying, it's truly 400 sword moves. Su Changyu frowned and thought, let's stop here, without strength, no one will care how tough your words are. Yi Ping, sweating as he speculated, replied, does senior brother think that I am not even worthy of 400 Dao swords? His fingers touched each other awkwardly as he said, although junior brother's talent is lacking, didn't you give me opportunities before? 400 is not a lot, but I can still manage it. Su Changyu forced a smile, feeling blood rush to his head as he thought, 400 is not a lot. And another person who looks down on sword Dao. At this moment, Su Changyu was truly a bit angry. Although I am not at the strong peak level, many ordinary people in this world have to endure a lot of suffering during their growth. But always being mocked for slow progress, whether intentionally or unintentionally, can really dampen someone's mood. His expression turned cold as he said, fine, if that's the case, then you can practice the sword moves that you suddenly enlightened on for me to see. He thought to himself, it seems I need to teach him a lesson, this will also be beneficial for the young to grow up. Yi Ping took the sword and replied without hesitation, all right. Su Changyu was getting more and more furious. The suggestion comes from a flashy expert, and he even agrees. No matter how tough he acts, he won't be able to take back his words later. Yi Ping stepped towards the cliff and then swung his sword, unleashing a powerful spiritual energy. He raised his sword parallel to one side, his eyes radiating hidden spiritual energy. He then swung his sword with overwhelming force, executing numerous flowing sword moves in succession. Yi Ping's swordsmanship was incredibly fast, like clouds drifting and water flowing. In the blink of an eye, he had already executed 36 moves. Su Changyu watched Yi Ping's swift and graceful figure, his expression shifting from confusion to shock, causing him to even start to cry. Yi Ping's sword moves became faster and more ferocious. Even after reaching the 36th move, he showed no signs of stopping. Until he unleashed 108 moves, suddenly a loud thunderclap echoed in the sky. Su Changyu was utterly horrified. Countless solitary lightning bolts before his eyes trembled and merged into one, creating a scene resembling a thunder dragon. He was so familiar with it that it even appeared in dreams countless times. Dragon's roar. Su Changyu stood there in a daze, so astonished that he could hardly breathe. He thought to himself, this dragon's roar is genuine, a manifestation of proof revealed to the outside world. When swordsmanship reaches the supreme perfection of the four thunders, his greatest dream over the years has been to cultivate the spring thunder sword to supreme perfection. Just hearing the legendary dragon's roar would be worth dying for. Yet, this little guy before him managed to achieve it in just 7 short days. Su Changyu shouted, "Impossible, absolutely impossible." Moreover, the shock was not yet over. Just 5 breaths later, another dragon's roar emerged. A thunder dragon, its entire body condensed by blue lightning, symbolizing the supreme perfection of the summer thunder sword. Before it dissipated, the autumn thunder dragon unexpectedly followed, almost appearing at the same time. Both dragons' roars clashed, each showcasing supreme perfection simultaneously. This kind of scene had never been seen or heard before. At the same time, Yi Ping's sword not only did not weaken but became faster, increasingly swift, day by day, more and more powerful. Finally, it has transformed into a true shadow. The strongest sword in the Four Thunders sword technique, the Winter Thunder swordmanship, has also reached its ultimate form. This sword, although powerful, gives a completely different feeling compared to the previous 3 sword moves. Su Changyu was drenched in cold sweat, feeling as if winter had arrived, with everything around him in ruins. It wasn't until the 432nd move that Yi Ping finally stopped. What had been displayed over the past 7 days had officially come to an end. Su Changyu was stunned by what he had just witnessed. Up to now, in the Four Thunders sword, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, the 4 great swordmanships, Yi Ping had mastered them all to achieve supreme perfection. Yet, Yi Ping remained motionless, thinking, something is wrong, something is not right. It seems I have become too dependent on the sword. He lowered his head, solemnly murmuring, the invisible great Tao gives birth to all things that are tangible. Non-being is being, the essence beyond essence, the body behind the mind. That's right, I am limited by the sword itself. Yi Ping suddenly remembered, I have figured it out, the words that Grand Senior Brother truly wanted to convey. Su Changyu, however, was left utterly confused, filled with question marks. Yi Ping formed a fist and brought it together. I have to try it. The sword of a mere mortal can sever the grass at the head and chop the heart of a song, no different than killing a chicken. But the sword of the Emperor, it regulates the 5 elements, opens up yin and yang, using all things in the world as its spearhead. After he finished speaking, he separated his hands to create an illusory sword, the power of which could shatter the earth and split the sky, incredibly terrifying. Su Changyu gritted his teeth in fear. Damn it, could it be that just performing one sword move also comes with sudden enlightenment? What a joke. Am I dreaming? If the Winter Thunder sword just now gave me a sense of ultimate destruction and death, then the atmosphere right now is completely opposite, filled with recovery and rebirth. It's only been a moment, yet it feels as if thousands of years have passed. Powerful energy surged continuously. Su Changyu looked at the invisible sword before him, feeling that this sword was the entirety of heaven and earth at this moment, as if with just a wave of his hand he could completely slay the celestial lord. Looking at the sword chi flowing long, Su Changyu felt his vision darken. Wait a moment, this is... He widened his eyes in realization. No, isn't this sword intent? Yi Ping's strength gradually faded. He irritably clenched his fists and said, I really hate this, that feeling is gone now, and I can't feel anything at all anymore. A moment later, he was thrilled and stammered, the strength, the terrifying strength is real, but if it only succeeds in an instant, it truly means my talent is lacking. Su Changyu, hearing this, pondered about life. Lacking talent, really? When I was young, I had the honor of seeing the Kai Su Sword Supreme once, which is why I firmly chose the path of Sword Tao. At that time, the Sword Supreme did not manipulate spiritual energy at all, the momentum of that sword move alone caused a phenomenon, almost identical to what the little junior brother just displayed. It was undoubtedly an extraordinary sword intent. This is not just the #1 genius of the Jin Kingdom, but even the #1 genius of the 10 nations. Such a level of comprehension of sword skills, even with spiritual energy, would be enough to reach the pinnacle of the Sword Tao with the support of divine weapons and 6 talismans. Yi Ping clenched his fists, feeling a bit awkward, and called out, Grand Senior Brother, Junior Brother knows that the sword moves I just comprehended are very ordinary, but I will strive to work twice as hard. I hope you won't be disappointed. Hearing this, Su Changyu's face looked even worse. Looking at him, he said, not much, in this life of mine, I might not even be worth your toenail. But I must never be inferior to you. A genius like this cannot be allowed to slip away, I must hold on firmly and not lose my composure. Su Changyu clenched his hands, suppressing his emotions and said, indeed, it's quite ordinary. Turning away, he felt older by several years, crying, if you are ordinary, then what am I? Yi Ping thought, as expected. Su Changyu turned to the stone platform and paused, asking, what is this? Yi Ping took the notebook and handed it over, saying, excuse me, senior brother, this is a record of my insights during my cultivation, it's nothing special. Su Changyu looked at the book and asked, insights? Can I take a look? Yi Ping shyly replied, it's embarrassing, I'm too shy to show it. In the first 50 moves of the Spring Thunder Sword, senior brother wants to teach me that white sand in nirvana will become black sand. In the first 100 moves of the Spring Thunder Sword, senior brother wants to convey to me the principle that all things coexist and oppose each other, there is no above or below. In the first 50 forms of Summer Thunder, straightforward yet winding, skillful yet clumsy, eloquent yet silent. The first 100 forms of Summer Thunder. Reading the Chinese characters in the notes, Su Changyu felt astonished as if he were looking up at a starry sky for the first time. Each character in the notes was familiar to him, but when connected together, they were as mysterious and profound as the vast cosmos. Although he couldn't comprehend them, he was deeply moved. Su Changyu stared blankly and asked, are these principles all from me? Yi Ping waved his hand and said, I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare. It's just that junior brother has recorded a part of the iceberg through his own arrogance. Surely, it doesn't even compare to 1/10 of the depth that senior brother truly wishes to impart. Su Changyu was shocked and wondered, why can't I understand a single word of that? He was infuriated and couldn't grasp it, how did you come to such insights? You fool, did you realize the great Tao from nothingness? Where exactly do you come from? I, Su Changyu, have diligently practiced for over 10 years, but I have only just begun to cultivate to the accede sect of Spring Thunder Sword. As for junior brother, it only took 7 days, yet he mastered the entire Four Thunders swordmanship, reaching supreme perfection. He even astonishingly touched the infinite sword intent. He squatted down in amazement, what a life. Su Changyu had a grim expression, turned around and said, all right, you continue your sudden enlightenment, and I'll come back in a few days. Yi Ping watched him leave, confused, thinking, looking at senior brother's expression, something seems off. Could it be that he thinks my talent is too poor and wants to drive me away? He cried out, please, don't, it's so hard to find a place willing to accept me. It's been half a year, and I've participated in over 50 ascension tournaments, regardless of the sect size, no one is willing to take me in. The capable ones looked at him with disdain, no spiritual roots. I advise you not to think about cultivating immortals anymore, it's just a waste of time. Give up early to save yourself the trouble. Yi Ping looked up in disappointment, remembering, no sect has accepted me, I can't suddenly comprehend the great Tao just by stargazing, right? He regained his determination, deciding, no matter what happens. We must seize this opportunity, we absolutely cannot let go. Moreover, everyone in this sect is an extraordinary expert. Keep it up, Yi Ping, you can do it. On the side of Master's residence, Taihua Taoist leisurely looked at the sky and the earth and said, the weather has really been quite nice lately. He sipped a cup of tea and admired the flowers, quite delightful. Suddenly, Su Changyu shouted loudly, Master, Master, something's wrong. This startled him, nearly causing him to pass out. He gasped and said, Master, something big has happened, something huge. Taihua Taoist asked in confusion, Changyu, what's got you so flustered? This isn't like you at all. Su Changyu's eyes widened, extremely excited as he said, Master, your ideals may have come true. Our Qin Yun sect has finally produced a dragon. Taihua Taoist questioned, a dragon has appeared. Changyu, what do you mean by that? Su Changyu seriously recounted, the little junior brother who just arrived has completely started from scratch and, in just 7 short days, has mastered the Four Thunders swordmanship to supreme perfection. The Taihua Taoist asked, all of it? Su Changyu confirmed, indeed, it's an extraordinary genius. The Taihua Taoist was even more excited than he was, rushing forward and calling out loudly, "Changyu. This kind of thing is no joke, lying means you have to swallow a needle." Su Changyu sincerely said, "The phenomenon in the sky just now is a symbol of the supreme perfection of four-swordmanship. Master, didn't you see it?" The Taihua Taoist stood there, stammering, I thought it was some impressive figure near your place advancing, but it turned out to be Xiao Yiping." He cried emotionally, saying, "A dragon has appeared. Our Qin Yun sect has finally produced a genius." Genius. Su Changyu hurriedly supported him, saying, "Master, calm down, don't get too excited and faint." After a moment, the Taihua Taoist splashed water on himself to calm down, saying, calm down, almost pushed myself into trouble. According to the fortune-telling, I must encounter a tribulation by the age of 100. Su Changyu hesitated and asked, "But master, if he continues to stay in our sect, won't it be a disadvantage for him?" The Taihua Taoist wiped his hair and calmly said, "Changyu, you think too much. Yiping has participated in 50 ascended conferences, but no sect wants him. Choosing him is a blessing for him, and it's also a good thing for us, so what's the problem?" He explained seriously. "Moreover, cultivators like us believe in fate. Others may not choose him, but we do. This is destiny. Have you ever thought that if he goes to other major sects, will he really get what he wants? Not to mention the jealousy among the direct disciples within the sect. Take, for example, the schemes among the major sects. It is not uncommon for them to secretly assassinate geniuses to hinder the development of a rival organization. Changyu, don't be naive. The master is not a greedy person. Wait until the sect advances to the second rank before telling him the truth." He affirmed with righteousness. "At that time, whether he stays or leaves will be his own decision. What do you think?" Su Changyu stared blankly at the radiance of the Buddhas and replied, "Disciple understands. I will follow the master's words." Taihua Taoist commanded, "Then let's proceed like this. Remember not to let it slip out." The next day, the Taihua Taoist was enjoying tea and sighed, "What a pleasant afternoon." Suddenly, Su Changyu burst in shouting, Master, this is not good." Su Changyu stammered, "Something big has happened again." The Taihua Taoist stared blankly for 2 seconds. By the 3rd second, he had grabbed his bag and was running away. "I want to go hide outside, the sect will be entrusted to you, Changyu." Su Changyu tried to hold him back to explain, "Master, it's not a creditor, it's something else." The Taihua Taoist stared blankly and said, "Something else?" Then he kicked him in frustration and said, "Then why are you panicking? You almost scared me to death." After a moment, he calmed down and shouted, "Quick, tell me, what big thing has happened? Is the sect about to be destroyed?" Su Changyu handed him a piece of paper and said, "You should read it yourself, sir." Su Changyu looked at the paper and read, "Sect Management Office, Qin Province. From now on, to prevent some sects from filling in numbers and committing fraud, all weak sects within the inner realm will be investigated. Within 2 months, please submit 10 low-grade spirit stones to prove the sect's integrity." He angrily flipped the table and said, "Proving integrity? Is there no law left? Demanding spirit stones without reason, oppressing the weak, I must go to the capital to report this injustice. In the cultivating immortals world, 1 coin can be exchanged for a baked bun, 10,000 coins are equivalent to 100 taels of silver, 1 tael of gold, but 20 taels of gold can only be exchanged for 1 low-grade spirit stone." Taihua Taoist could not contain himself and shouted, "Our Qin Yun sect has not eaten or drunk for an entire year just to save up 10 spirit stones." Su Changyu calmly advised, "Master, don't panic. How many spirit stones does the sect have in total now?" Taihua Taoist hesitated, and then held up 7 fingers. Roughly this many." Su Changyu excitedly asked, 70 spirit stones. "Then that should be enough." Taihua Taoist said with concern, "How can that be?" Su Changyu questioned, "Is it 70 taels of gold? Then that will be a bit difficult." But everyone contributed. Then he doubted and asked, "Could it really be 70 taels?" He pouted and exclaimed, "Sect Master Brother, please don't tell me there's only 70 taels of silver left." Taihua Taoist awkwardly smiled and turned away, saying, "It's 70 copper coins." Su Changyu felt like he wanted to put his ears away for good. With a pale face, he said, 70 copper coins. How could that be? No matter how incompetent we are still a sect. Taihua Taoist shed tears and recounted, here's the story. Initially, our sect still had some accumulated funds, but I thought that keeping the money would be a waste. I happened to hear about something new called the Cultivating Immortals Fund. They said that if you deposit money there, you would receive interest on time every month, and the interest was quite substantial. The master had a hard time securing one investment slot. Many people rushed to grab it, not everyone could invest if they wanted to. But I never expected that I was only focused on its returns. However, what he was concerned about was my capital. Just a few days later, he ran off with that money. Pay the money, that is the life-saving money for me. The more he spoke, the more emotional he became, raising his hands and saying, Changyu, the master has been deceived. Changyu, come and hug the master, comfort him. Su Changyu only wore a sad expression, calculating, 70 coins, 100 gold taels, all gone, should we disband? Su Changyu confirmed, the Qin Yun sect is truly finished this time. Tai Hua the Taoist tightened his grip and firmly stated, no matter what, the master must take responsibility. If it really comes to that, we can only gamble one more time, at most we can escape to the Jinglin mountain range. It's too hard to have a genius appear, we absolutely cannot let the sect perish. Su Changyu frowned and thought, don't dream. At that moment, a powerful bolt of lightning appeared in the sky, emanating from the mountain peak. Su Changyu was startled and turned to ask, what is that? Towards the residence of little junior brother, what has happened? Su Changyu looked at its power and asked, what was that in the sky just now? Could it be that little junior brother has broken through again? Tai Hua the Taoist immediately said. It's impossible, even a genius cannot achieve this. It must be just a coincidence. Don't think too much about it. He organized a bit and instructed Changyu, Master must go down the mountain to see if we can borrow some spirit stones. If the dragon has appeared, then our master will not disband the sect, no matter the cost. I leave the matters of the house to you. The most important thing is to take good care of the little junior brother, teach him well, and remember not to teach him recklessly. Su Changyu clasped his hands and replied, understood, master, you can rest assured. 7 days later, on the cliff, Yi Ping's swordsmanship became increasingly sharp, cutting through stone like iron. He could also perform excellently and meet expectations in the air. Su Changyu looked at him and couldn't help but exclaim, it's only been 7 days since we last met, and you've already learned so many new sword techniques. If this continues, won't it only take a few more days for you to reach the pinnacle? He always felt as if he had aged a few years thinking this. The previous phenomenon was indeed caused by his breakthrough. If nothing else happens, I truly do not want to meet him. The pressure is too much now. Yi Ping paused, turned to call out, Grand Senior Brother, have you arrived? Su Changyu called out seriously, no formalities, how has your training been? Yi Ping hesitantly replied, I have comprehended all 1460 sword Dao techniques. Although it's a bit slow, I can consider it a success. Su Changyu smiled in surprise, though it was more of a smirk. All of them, completely comprehended. Even if I had overly high expectations, I would still be underestimating you. I feel quite bitter about this. He clasped his hands behind his back and instructed, Xiao Yi Ping, listen carefully. Even if your sword Dao has reached the pinnacle, that is just the beginning. There's still sword chi and sword intent to master. Sword moves may be intricate, but what's called sword momentum means one strike equates to a whole set of swordsmanship. All techniques are condensed into one strike. At the very least, until you condense sword momentum, you cannot be called a sword Dao cultivator, understood? Yi Ping felt faint upon hearing this. So, it turns out I'm still not considered a swordsman. Su Changyu thought, this time, he must have boasted enough. Otherwise, with the little guy's talent, he would have realized it in 3 days. Yi Ping suddenly remembered to ask, oh right, what realm has senior brother reached now? Su Changyu, with a charming demeanor, turned away and said, senior brother. Useless. He posed and boasted, I've only just entered the first level of the Supreme Sword Dao, the legendary infinite sword intent. Inside, he chuckled, ha ha, this feeling of bragging is really enjoyable. Yi Ping asked, sword intent, infinite sword intent, just hearing the name sounds impressive. No wonder he's the grand senior brother, he truly is a hidden expert. Following senior brother in this life is definitely worth it. After mastering the sword momentum, one can then enter the Supreme Realm. The Supreme Realm is divided into 3 levels. The first level is the infinite sword intent, don't just look at it as the first level. Even just entering this realm means you're among the top 10 in the world. That's impressive. He broke into a sweat and thought, wait a minute. Doesn't that mean Grand Senior Brother is now among the top 10 in the world? I thought he was an expert, but I didn't expect him to be this high up. He happily calculated, if I follow in his footsteps. Can we really reach the second 10 kingdoms? To become a dragon, to become a dragon. Yi Ping never expected to have this day. The ancestral tomb is filled with smoke. He clasped his hands together, excitedly saying, Junior brother, strive to catch up with senior brother. In this lifetime, you must step into the infinite sword intent. If you become famous in the future, you will definitely not forget the kindness of your brother. Su Changyu felt as though he had been stabbed in the heart, or perhaps it was the splinter in his sleeve that made him cry out and turn away. Don't say that, don't say anymore, it's too bitter. It feels like a dream. Yi Ping looked up at the sky and couldn't help but reflect a bit. A few days ago, I was just an ordinary person struggling to make a living, and now I've learned swordsmanship in the sect. It's truly surprising. The brilliant sunset at Qingyun Peak, the distant golden clouds tinged with red, I wish to learn sword techniques from Qing province, and dine on the Taoist heavenly wind morning and evening. Su Changyu glanced to one side and then asked, I heard the sect master say that before you went up the mountain, you were originally a student. Yi Ping happily replied, let's just say that. I have never achieved any formal qualifications, I just have an interest in reading and painting. Su Changyu chuckled softly and suggested. Then you help senior brother draw a picture. Deep down, he was distracted, thinking, once Xiao Yi Ping really succeeds, won't it be a resource to boast about? See. The #1 swordsman of the Jin Kingdom has drawn a picture for me, anyone would be envious to death. I'm truly clever. Yi Ping scratched his face and asked, drawing. Alright, alright. If it's not beautiful, please don't laugh at me, senior brother. In his previous life, Yi Ping had joined a painting club to pursue his goddess. After 3 years of hard training, he finally learned the art, but the goddess ended up with a rich second-generation guy. Learning to paint didn't save him from being a lonely dog. After a while, Su Changyu observed Yi Ping and sighed, this guy looks quite cool when serious, somewhat resembling me. Yi Ping handed over the drawing and said, senior brother, I'm done with the drawing. It's not beautiful, so please don't laugh at me. Su Changyu opened it to take a look and said, don't worry, let me appreciate it first. He looked and was surprised, this painting. He stared at the painting in astonishment, praising it. In the painting, the sunset envelopes the entire sky. The Qingyun mountain range resembles a paradise. The flowers, leaves, and grass look so real, especially some details that make it appear even more lifelike. But what draws the most attention is that my figure in the portrait is merely a side profile, yet it captures the sharp, imposing aura of the sword immortal. It almost seems as if he is about to leap out of the painting and deliver a punch to the chest of anyone gazing at it. He expressed his satisfaction with a compliment, this painting is not bad, it truly has no flaws. If I had to point out a shortcoming, it would be that it doesn't fully depict the handsome features of the senior brother. This isn't a matter of your ability, but rather that the senior brother is simply too handsome. Yi Ping happily replied, thank you for the praise, senior brother. I have always wanted to express my gratitude for your teachings, this is just a small token of my appreciation. Next to it was written, Qing Lian Scholar. Su Changyu read it aloud, Qing Lian Scholar. Then he chuckled softly, this little guy knows how to boast, even giving himself a nickname. At this moment, Taihua Taoist used sound transmission to call out, Changyu. The master has come up with a solution to save the sect. Hurry back here, hurry back here, hurry back here. Su Changyu paused, thinking, is it a transmission from the master? Has he figured out a solution? How much gold is that? He raised the painting and said, I'll take this painting. Thank you, Yi Ping replied, it's nothing much. He wondered, now that things have come to this, is there really any solution? At the same time, at one of the three major sects in Qing province, Kaiyang Sword Sect, a red dragon appeared at Wujian Cliff, stirring the sky with its power. No wonder it's the old ancestor Si Gui, the man in blue exclaimed in surprise, it's just a mark of the sword Dao, yet it's so terrifying. The girl in purple shouted, stop talking nonsense, or why are we all sitting here? The marks of ordinary swordsmen are not worthy of being comprehended by talents like us, right? At this moment, a fierce lightning bolt struck from behind. The man opened his mouth, ecstatic and almost going crazy, saying, I've realized it, I've finally comprehended it. He arrogantly raised his head and spoke loudly. Supreme perfection is nothing more than this. The guy in the blue shirt exclaimed in astonishment, oh my. Su Heng's senior brother has truly achieved enlightenment, and it's the supreme perfection of the Spring Thunder Sword, too. That's incredibly powerful. The girl in the purple dress said, Si Gui Taoist mentioned that even a genius needs at least 3 years to reach supreme perfection. Yet Su Heng's senior brother only needed a mere year. No wonder he is one of the top 10 sword Dao geniuses of Qing province. With such talent, I can only look up to him in admiration. The guy in the blue shirt cheerfully congratulated, to have a talent like this is truly a testament to Ming Jian's senior brother's keen eye. Congratulations. This time at the Sword Dao conference in Qing province, Su Heng might just take first place. The guy with the long eyebrows smiled smugly, haha, it's nothing, really. It's just supreme perfection, what's the big deal? Ming Jian's senior brother is being too modest. The old man with red hair grumbled, in the inner circle of Qing province, where there are hidden dragons and crouching tigers, it's still a bit early to talk about being number one. The guy with the long eyebrows replied indifferently, that's true. Chen Elder is right. How can it possibly be Hang Ni's turn? Just like his disciples, although they have only cracked the beginner's mirror in a year, they are certainly confident enough to intentionally let Hang Ni go first. That's why there has been no breakthrough from the beginning to the end. The old man with red hair angrily asked, little guy, do you dare to provoke me? The guy in the blue shirt stepped in to mediate, all right, senior brothers, don't be angry anymore, we are all family. The first place is indeed a bit exaggerated, but this time the sect master has given orders, and no matter what, we must achieve a top 10 ranking. The two of them turned in surprise. The guy in the blue shirt explained, senior brothers, you just exited, so you might not know, but this time those who make it into the top 10 will receive a command token for the Tai Xian Sword Tower. The two of them were taken aback. The significance of being able to enter the Tai Xian Sword Tower and surpass it is something I don't need to elaborate on for the senior brothers, right? The guy with long eyebrows laughed heartily and confidently. Heaven is helping me, this time our master-disciple pair will secure a position in the top 10. Master, please rest assured. The old man with red hair interrupted again, saying, don't be too overly confident. Don't let the disciples of some smaller sect steal it from you then, that would be extremely embarrassing. The man in the blue robe and the one with long eyebrows both laughed confidently. Alright, if any disciple other than those from the three major sects can defeat Hang Ni, I will pour a bucket of urine over you for a year while standing on my head to wash it off. Qin Yun Sect, the residents of the sect. Su Changyu looked at the pile on the table, shocked. Is this pile of junk what you meant? How much money can we get from this ragged stuff? The Tai Hua Taoist, looking sinister, said, pawning this is the best treasure of our sect. Where exactly is it ragged? The master really couldn't think of any solution, so just leave it be, while there's still water, we can still bail it out. Su Changyu, both embarrassed and angry, said, no way, I don't want to be embarrassed along with you. Taking this to pawn would be too humiliating. The Tai Hua Taoist grabbed him, sweetly pleading, good disciple, help the master just this once more, only this last time. He turned and suddenly asked, what is this? Su Changyu replied, it's a painting that little junior brother drew for me, don't you dare, ... At the end of the sentence, the Tai Hua Taoist took the painting and ran away. The sect is about to be no more, yet you still have the mood for art. Take it, go ahead, it's worth nothing. If I have money in the future, I will repay you. Su Changyu chased after him, saying, it's not worth anything, you damned old man, give it back to me. At the pawn shop, the man in red was as cheerful as if he were welcoming a god of wealth, saying, "Welcome to our shop, esteemed guests. Please come inside." He rubbed his hands and asked, "Are you two buying or selling?" The Taihua Taoist replied, "Selling, it's all good stuff." The man in red opened the bag and responded enthusiastically, "Of course, just looking at you two, I can tell you have an aura that is not of mortals. Alright, let me broaden my horizons first. I can already tell it's top quality without even looking." Inside, surprisingly, were tattered items, causing him to wonder and ask in embarrassment, "What are these rags? Why is there even a golden book here?" The Taihua Taoist hurriedly responded, "Oh my, this is not the limited edition orange album of Leng Yuan Yuan Kong. You've picked the wrong one, this isn't for sale. Everything else is fine, but this one won't be sold even if the sect collapses." Su Changyu said from the side, "Master, can I borrow it to take a look later?" He awkwardly replied, Alright. I'll quote a price first, add everything up and give you a discount, just 10 gold taels, what do you think?" Hearing this, the man in red felt it was even more unreasonable. 10 gold taels for this pile of junk? Are you going crazy for money? Taihua Taoist slammed the table and rebutted, "Junk? Do you even know how to assess goods? Look closely at the material of this cushion. It's made from silk, and selling it to you is already a great bargain." The man in red scoffed openly, saying, "Then take this bargain to someone else." Taihua Taoist immediately changed his attitude and said, "Let's be friends. 8 taels too, how about taking it all?" The man in red firmly replied, "Not interested." He enthusiastically lowered the price. 5 taels, can't go any lower. If it's less, I really will take it to someone else. Su Changyu stood like a statue and said, "This is so embarrassing, let's go, master." The man in the red shirt reluctantly pointed at the painting in his hand and asked, "Can we take a look at this painting?" Su Changyu asked, "The painting?" After thinking for a moment, he said, "Of course, you can." The man in the red shirt, having not seen it before, gasped just by touching it. Su Yang Xian paper. You two are really something, clearly, you both have plenty of money. Why are you playing around in our shop? The Taihua Taoist was surprised and thought, is this painting paper really that expensive? After looking at the painting, the man in the red shirt confidently stated, "Indeed, it is Su Yang Xian paper, just this sheet alone is worth more than 10 taels of gold." When he saw the words, "Qing Lian Scholar," his expression turned serious. He called out softly, "Xiao Lu, come here quickly, I have something to discuss with you." The Taihua Taoist looked at the two of them in confusion. As he watched them whisper for a while, Xiao Lu, equally surprised, asked the man in the red shirt, "Are you sure?" The man in the red shirt replied, "Absolutely sure, without a doubt." Then, the man in the red shirt stepped forward and said, "I'm really sorry, but we need to invite the shopkeeper over to take a look, could you two wait a moment?" The two of them stood there, stunned, and replied, "Sure." Some time later, he stepped forward and recounted, "Our old treasurer said that anyone with the insight to purchase this treasure is definitely not a newcomer. Please, gentlemen, don't joke with us any longer. Let's be straightforward, how about you give us a real price?" Su Changyu retorted, "What do you mean by treasure? Isn't that little junior brother?" Taihua Taoist pulled his mouth wide open and shouted, "Shut up." He turned back to a serious demeanor and said, "All right, if that's the case, we won't joke with you any longer. We want this number, if it's acceptable, fine, if not, we'll leave immediately." He thought to himself, judging by their previous expressions, there must be some misunderstanding. Now is the time to be bold, earning 50 taels of silver from him is not impossible. Fortunately, I reacted quickly enough. The man in red pondered for a moment. Su Changyu then said, "Master, you're being too greedy, who would ever buy a painting for 50 taels?" Taihua Taoist raised a finger and said, "What do you know? This is called playing chess." The man in red sighed, realizing there was no other way, and agreed, "All right, it's a deal. 5,000 taels is 5,000 taels." The Taihua Taoist said smugly, "See? Playing chess, that little guy of yours." Then he suddenly made a confused face and exclaimed, "Wait a minute. How much did you just say?" The man in the red robe held up 5 fingers and replied, 5,000 taels, wasn't that what you proposed? The Tai Hua Taoist showed a cat-like grin and said, "Are you planning to play a trick on us?" The man in the red robe explained brightly, "Why would the immortal say that? Our pawnshop absolutely does not joke around." Su Changyu was a bit confused and thought, "A painting worth 5,000 taels, isn't that the one that little junior brother casually painted for me? What exactly is going on here?" He looked over at the Tai Hua Taoist and whispered, "Sect Master, are you still thinking? Hurry up and agree first, come on. If you don't, you'll regret it later. Why aren't you taking the money and running away? The sect will be saved." The Tai Hua Taoist spoke dangerously. "I'm really sorry, I think you might have misunderstood. What I meant was 50,000 taels." Su Changyu was shocked. "What? Old man, are you crazy?